So how would you describe TBH culture?
Like a family, to be honest. Since I've worked here for 2.5 years, it's been nothing but positive outcomes with everybody that I've worked with. Everyone's really kind and wants to be there to help you. They're not just there to get their job done and then sneak out of the office. How about yourself? How's the culture of TBH in Adelaide?
Yeah, I agree with you. It is like a big family, like, and even into offices. So our Adelaide office is a lot smaller than some of the others, but we still get that interconnectivity. We get to use the knowledge of people in other cities if we're working on a project that's relevant. So it's just a big network of people really that you get to lean on. And like similar to what you said, it's not just technical stuff. Like if you need someone to talk to, or like you just have some questions to ask, all that kind of thing. Like I've never come across anyone who's not willing to sit down and give you the time of day to talk about it, which is really nice.
Yeah, I think we're really lucky in that respect. I mean, everyone understands that we're learning, and as graduates, you have a lot to learn.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I've never felt that pressure of why don't you know this or anything like that. It's a matter of just getting to, well, let's figure out how you can get to know it,
Yeah.
which is pretty cool. I guess that kind of leads into like what you believe the learning environment is and what you expected and what actually happened in the first couple of years of working.
Yeah. So I think what I expected was to sort of be on very like maybe boring or repetitive or easy tasks and just kind of given the grunt work. Like I think that's what I genuinely expected from the first couple of years of working out of uni, but that was not the case for me at all. I was working on meaningful projects pretty much straight away, given my own responsibility and my own deliverables and things to do. So I would say that it's very hands-on in terms of learning environment. You are put on projects, you are a crucial part of the team. That's how it tends to happen. What about you? Did you have a similar experience, something different?
Yeah, I remember I was the first week was with the training modules where you learn how to use some of the programs a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I remember thinking this might be a little bit of a slow paced gig. It doesn't seem too bad. And then I was thinking, I hope it's more engaging. And literally after that first week, I was on a live project looking at the Perth Museum. And although I wasn't actually in charge of that, I was given my first site visit. And it just made you feel, open your eyes and realize how many things you can do in this industry and how many different ways you can support a project team. So it was a pretty exciting first look into what we do at TBH.
Yeah, wow. So that was your second week, did you say?
Yeah, second week I went for a site visit and yeah, it was pretty exciting. You got to see, I think there was probably at least 100 trades on site and being able to see how we interact with them and what kind of information we want to glean from them. It really took the training modules and made them a real kind of outcome rather than just a theoretical one.
Yeah, that's really cool. So was that sort of like initiated by the TBH mentoring program? Did that come through that? Was that how that came to be?
Yeah, well, in the mentoring program, when you first start, you get a mentor and, you know, you kind of talk to them about your plans, your aspirations, as well as they give you an idea of what to expect. And I expressed that I'd really like to go onto sites and see the actual construction as part of, you know, my first couple of weeks to get an idea. And they were more than accommodating. They obviously had to see to make sure that, you know, we had the safety checks and everything in place. But once I had organized all those, they were more than happy to facilitate me going to see a site. And yeah, I guess that mentor is someone that, you know, you catch up with pretty regularly throughout the year and you talk about where you've been, where you're going and how you want to get there. And they give you some insights into what you should be looking out for and skills that you should probably be honing in on, which is a pretty cool, opportunity to have. As you said, being in one of those smaller companies, I think we're lucky that we have that personal relationship with people, as opposed to just someone looking at a sheet and being like, okay, this is so-and-so number 44444 or whatever it may be. How about yourself? How's your mentoring experience been?
Yeah, I find the same thing. I think what I've really noticed, because I've had the same mentor the whole nearly 5 years that I've been in the company. So just to see that progression of, you know, we go to coffee at the same place every time because I have a favorite. And we set goals and like go back to them the next time and reflect on how it went and if I achieved them or if they're still ongoing, that kind of thing. And just the progress of what my goals have been has also been really interesting. I mean, at the beginning, it was things like, oh, I'd like to work on this kind of a job or this kind of a job. And now it's evolved a lot more into sort of professional development stuff. And rather than like, oh, I'd like to get better at X thing, it's more like, I would like to use my skills to be able to do this or develop more in this. So it's just, yeah, I've found it a really useful tool to self-reflect in a way that isn't necessarily performance based all the time. So yeah, I found the mentoring really helpful. And I mean, we have our set mentors, so there is a mentoring structure, but I find that you can go to anybody about anything if you want to. Like if you had a question and you wanted to ring up one of your directors and say, hey, can we have a 10-minute chat? They've always made the time to do that for me, which has been really lucky. Have you sort of felt the same way with your directors?
I couldn't agree more. It's one of the first companies that I've been to that I've seen that the director's door is always open, and it's not just like a metaphor, it's genuinely open. You can go in and knock and say, hey, I've got a concern, or hey, what about this? And they're always more than happy to take the time to listen to you as well as try and find a solution that works for everybody, which is a really unique kind of position that we're in.
Yeah, and really great for our professional development as well, and where we get to take our careers with that support.
Yeah. Speaking of careers, what kind of training have you been offered at TBH over the last 5 years?
So when I started, it was work experience. That was very on the job. I walked in on day one onto a job site to sort of live a day in the life of a TBHer for a few weeks. So I got to sit with them and do things and that kind of thing. But we do have structured training as well. So there's online modules and sessions run by other TBHers. I think that's probably one of my favorite types of training is when a consultant who's experienced in something like you or me put on a training for everybody else. And we do that nationally and internationally. So you can dial in, thank you technology, and watch a presentation by someone who's worked in a specific type of job, and just that knowledge sharing, I find is one of the greatest training assets that we have at TBH, because we do have people with so much experience across lots of different things. So I think, that's one of the best parts about the training that I've been offered, and not just within TBH, but I also do quite a bit outside of TBH. So I'll go to professional development events that are run externally, which are related to sometimes public speaking or like how to network and things like that, which have always been encouraged by my mentors and management team as well. So it's been really good. How about you?
Yeah, it's very similar. It's pretty cool to hear that other people have had a similar experience to me, because when I thought of training, I thought of, you're learning how to do a formula or you're learning how to use a program, which is part of it. But there's so much more, like you said, which is those networking events where TBH will, sponsor you to go to an event and network, as well as learn how to publicly speak, as you said, or some of the other skills that we have in this industry, which has been a pretty cool experience. I mean, going out with, 5 of your colleagues to an event and having some food and some drink together is always a nice time.